I want to play a game with you. You're going to see 4 different Samira players in action, but only one of them is Challenger and the others are Silver. Are you good enough to spot the Challenger player? Okay, so this Samira is playing a very slow lane phase, not really daring to do anything. Of course, this allows her Senna support to scale rather safely, but not putting on any kind of pressure against Lulu Twitch, who also scale quite well, could lead to problems down the road. In fact, Samira's team is having a really tough time in the mid-game, as they are pressured away from key objectives, and approaching the Dragon Pit as the enemy are taking it down does end up getting Samira killed. And in the late game, Samira finds herself with her back against the wall, being pushed into her base while the enemy have Elder and Baron. But then, suddenly, the enemy are getting impatient and start to dive the Nexus towers. From here, Samira finds a flash engage, which then allows her to go completely ham, ending the opposing siege on the spot. Okay, so in this game, the matchup is Samira versus Draven, and Samira is positively terrified. She spends her entire lane phase farming under tower because she doesn't want to give Draven Nautilus an opening. And while she is able to stay alive as a result, her team ends up losing all the dragons due to lack of bot lane priority. This leads to the enemy knocking at their door with Infernal Soul and Baron buff as we are approaching the late game. But Nautilus doesn't realize his team has retreated, so Samira is able to catch him out of position. And after an epic thresh hook that catches Yone as he returns, Samira keeps pushing forward, but takes massive damage from Draven. She does end up blocking a Nidalee Spear on reaction to stay alive and keep fighting, yet the enemy Renekton finally takes her down. Okay, so here we have a very chaotic Samira lane. Thresh plus Caitlyn have very strong potential with their range advantage and the option to combo Thresh's crowd control into Caitlyn's traps. But Morgana also has strong engage with Q while being able to black shield Samira when she dashes in. And Morgana does end up landing a max range binding, so Thresh instantly counter-engages to deter blue team from following up. After Morgana backs off, Samira is now in a 1v2, which she ends up losing hard. The fight is decided as Caitlyn perfectly flashes over Morgana's binding to take her down, ultimately finishing off Samira as well for the double kill. However, Samira preserves a strong mental and finds an opportunity for payback later on. Thresh and Caitlyn set up a 1v2 trying to kill Samira with a coordinated attack, but Samira knows her champion, fully committing to the all-in. Thanks to Triumph and her reset mechanic, she does come out on top. Okay, so this Samira only knows one playstyle, all in. She plays the Draven lane very aggressively, which is actually a decent plan as it allows her to set up a gank for her jungler. But unfortunately they focus Nautilus, who can escape, and the full health Draven now just goes berserk in the 1v3. Samira had to flash out herself in order to survive, yet she changes her mind as Draven starts to finally take some damage. However, she cannot finish him off and instead feeds him a double kill. This Samira player's recklessness stays consistent throughout the game. In this teamfight, she ends up taking a ton of damage from the enemy Xerath as a result, but she is still able to help her team clean up 2 enemies. However, now she finds herself in a very familiar situation. But this time she plays with Draven's greed, luring him closer to her support, and Draven blindly walks into the trap. Alright, who was the challenger and who the silver imposters? Well, the first player, despite his odd decision making, had very clean movement and flawless last hitting, which is a good indicator. But just look at this teamfight. Samira knew exactly what she had to do. She was ready, managing to delete the opposing Twitch in a blink of an eye. This is not an opening a silver player would be able to see, and Samira number 1 is in fact challenger. If you want to improve your own Samira skills, you can learn from the best Samira players on the planet by clicking the link on your screen.